Welcome to the John Hay Estate at the Fells. I'm Paige Kingsley, the Executive Director of this beautiful estate. This was the summer home of John Milton Hay, who was the personal secretary of Abraham Lincoln. And John Hay followed Lincoln to Washington and ended up living in the White House, recording all of the interactions, and that has become a resource and a reference for our historical understanding of that time period. It's quite remarkable the details that John Milton Hay was able to capture and save and share with us now today. John Hay built this beautiful house that sits now on 84 acres, and it was a place for him to escape the pressures of Washington. Here on the crystal clear lake of Lake Sunapee, in the hillside of New Hampshire, the house you see today is not necessarily the house that John Hay, Milton Hay, had built, meaning that after John Hay's death in 1905, Clarence Leonard Hay inherited this estate. And beginning in 1915, Clarence Hay and his wife Alice started renovating the simple house into the existing colonial revival structure you see today to make it a little more sophisticated, a little more elegant by adding all kinds of architectural elements to the rooms, including the Zubair wallpaper installation that we consider a beautiful piece of artwork today that we'd like to celebrate now and for future use. So the conservation of the Zubair wallpaper is more than just a cosmetic enhancement. It's not just decorative. It's transforming the space. It tells a story. It's part of our living museum. It's vibrant, it's captivating, it starts conversations, it piques people's interest. There's so much more behind the Zubair wallpaper than just being wallpaper. And that's what we want to tap into. We want people to understand the artistry, the craftsmanship, the time, and why it exists and why it's important to take care of it.
Hello, my name is Luana Maekawa. I'm a senior conservator at NEDCC, and today I'd like to talk to you about the wallpaper project we are currently working on, and they are the hunting scenes by the painter Jean-Julien Deltil, who also was hired by Zubair to make many painting panoramic scenes. And this series of the John Hay estate is from the 1922 edition. And we know that because we have remnants of the original wallpaper from the archives that actually states that. This is written on the Zubair cartouche, which is quite exciting to have here. And this series is quite impressive, as most panorama wallpapers, because of their technique and of their characteristics. This particular series, is composed by over 1,200 wood blocks, and there are over 150 or 140 colors, pigments used to create this scene. The background was painted either by hand or spray painted, and in this case we have sky, which is a cerulean blue, and then it fades in the nuances of blue onto ochre background, onto which the wood blocks were printed. The base colors are very vulnerable to flaking, whereas the wood blocks, they're more stable because they have the pressure of the wood blocks printing on the paper, and they were printed on over many times to get the various gradients of colors. That area, the lower area of the wallpapers, are much more stable, and as opposed to the top of the wallpapers, which have problems of abrasions, furniture abrasions, and also traffic abrasions, because this site is frequently visited. Basically, the problems we encountered were accumulation of dust and particles every day from everyday traffic, and also failure of adhesion on some areas, and cracks in the walls. and tide line staining from condensation throughout the various periods. And so the other techniques that we do in the final phases is the in-painting. Most of the wallpaper scenes that we have treated in the past have all showed similar problems to different lesser or more degrees. And so it is absolutely necessary to control and for the maintenance of these areas for the long-term conservation.
The John Hay Estate at the Fells is about historical preservation, conservation, and educating about ecology in our natural world. It's a balance between man and nature, and all three components make up our objectives, our goals, and our future today and for future generations. So.